And what you are doing, Maddie, is cowardly by being so afraid of the people's voice to try to continue this crusade against public comments.
People in public service or those connected to it should never be allowed to use their position to protect each other from accountability. A person in a position of authority over my children made inappropriate advances towards me. I rejected him, and his demeanor towards me changed. My children paid the ultimate price.
Mr. Estrada is being punished and harassed for exposing a sexual predator, and Fort Worth District Attorney Phil Soros had the nerve to ask her to apologize to him.
Shame on you for reducing public participation for a photo op.
It was a pagan symbol, and if you don't believe me, ask any person who follows Odin, the true warrior god. I have no words to express my disgust. I can't even say it, I'm so mad.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today, we're taking a look at the Fort Worth City Council public comments from December 2nd, 2025. My friend, Manuel Mata, asked me to share one specific comment from this meeting. He didn't even tell me that he had spoke during the meeting, but after watching the whole meeting, I think his comment was the best one out of the meeting. I put together the strongest public comments from the meeting, most of which focused on the mayor steadily infringing on people's rights to speak. We'll get to Manuel Mata's comment in a bit, but first, I want to show y'all the comment that he specifically asked me to highlight and shed some light on what's going on. With that being said, let's get right into the video. Make sure you hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed, and as always, share this video everywhere.
People in public service or those connected to it should never be allowed to use their position to protect each other from accountability. A person in a position of authority over my children made inappropriate advances towards me. I rejected him, and his demeanor towards me changed. My children paid the ultimate price. They were expelled. His alternate employer, Fort Worth County Day, refused to acknowledge his misconduct and instead treated me as the problem. I became a threat only hours after reporting his behavior to HR department, then was charged with harassment for exposing him. No detective ever questioned me before signing off a harassment warrant. Until this day, I have not been asked a single question by any public servant. I spent over a day in Tarrant County Jail despite never initiating contact with him. More than $30,000 in taxpayer funds have been spent targeting me. In a time where we're debating whether to cut programs that feed our most vulnerable citizens, how can this kind of spending be justified? How can protecting misconduct be priority over public need? I'd like you to consider my case for review and action to resolve this abuse of the system and the personal retaliation I have faced. Thank you for your consideration.
Adrian Smith, I am one with the people. Budgeting public servants when power protects itself. Silence enables injustice. We need to speak up for those without power while we still have our First Amendment rights. Mr. Estrada is being punished and harassed for exposing a sexual predator, and Fort Worth District Attorney Phil Soros had the nerve to ask her to apologize to him. This man's name is Hugo Munoz, and he is one of the owners of Silverback Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Fort Worth, location 5811 West Creek Drive. And he coaches wrestling at Fort Worth Country Day. Chief Eddie Garcia, I hope you're listening, sir. To the public servants whose time, salaries, and resources were used to retaliate when sexual misconduct was exposed by Miss Nancy Estrada. Detective M. Sullivan, badge number 4150. Responding Officer McDonald, badge number N238. Judge Cynthia F. Approving Supervisor Sergeant Harris, badge number 3098. 6 Fort Worth Corrections officers who came to her home with a sealed warrant. Court employees responsible for repeated rescheduling. God bless you, Maddie Parker. Bless your heart, bless your heart.
My name is Manuel Mata, and I live in Carlos's district. And I'm here to give you an example of two different types of fear: fear you run from and fear you run towards. I'm going to give you an example of fear that you run to. I've been afraid to publicly speak all my life, but I learned how with Thomas Torlinkasi. I was afraid of changing my life from being nobody to just being a regular person in a world, right? And also, I learned how to not cuss for 3 minutes. You heard? And I say all this because the other definition is fear you run from. And y'all have been running from the fear of public comments for, I don't know, a year, right? So, yeah, since you've been elected, Maddie, and fear that you run from eventually put you in a corner where you don't have nowhere to turn back around and face everyone you ran and hid from, right? And my only thing is, why did you get that guy fired? Why isn't he working with the Star Telegram no more? And I'm sure you're the one who made it happen because he was supposed to wait until after your speech.
My name is George Ronald Childs. I live in Fort Worth. So much for the script tonight, although the subject was extremely predictive. It was on First Amendment shrinkflation. I know of no more fitting symbol of what's important to all of you people that were picked to take care of city business than you would reduce to what exercise of a constitutional right has been reduced to. So you will all have a quorum, which you have been singularly lacking for quite a while when you feel like it. So you can have a photo op at a tree that was a pagan symbol. And if you don't believe me, ask any person who follows Odin, the true warrior god. It was a pagan symbol a long time before BC suddenly on that fabled night became AD. I have no words to express my disgust. I can't even say it, I'm so mad.
Well, this night has been interesting, that's for sure. We're going to talk about it here for a minute and a half. Before I do, I want to invite everyone to stand up who's in this room, and please give a round of applause to the mayor and the city council for meeting their tree lighting ceremony. We want to congratulate them for meeting this moment that they worked so hard to get to. I also want to thank Police Chief Garcia and the police officers in the room, including that special marshal officer standing against the wall, for not knowing what de-escalation looks like. Tonight, I had the joy of getting bullied by law enforcement simply because I asked a question: why was someone getting kicked out of the room? And because I asked that question, this marshal against the back wall decided that it was enough to threaten my attendance in this meeting and to get other police officers to force me out of the room, where they put hands to try to push me out of the building. And I simply kept asking the question, what did I do? I signed it for my minutes. I want my right to speak. And I want this incident on record so that everyone knows what happened, and you will see more footage about what happens. And this was cowardly, what happened with law enforcement. And what you are doing, Maddie, is cowardly by being so afraid of the people's voice to try to continue this crusade against public comments.
Shame on you for reducing public participation for a photo op.
Make sure you have the microphone. We're all aware of the ongoing and intentional limiting of public comments that began the moment Maddie was elected, and the deep disappointment this community has felt ever since. And now, to keep playing in our faces, you've decided that the lighting of a casket-ready Christmas tree is of greater priority than hearing from the people who pay taxes and who keep this city running, even deciding to cut our speaking time in half. What's the point in bragging about having a tree taller than the Rockefeller tree if it looks half dead? just like the spirit of too many of our elected officials. That Sundance tree is symbolic of the Fort Worth leadership. Tall, expensive, sold as impressive, yet neglected, anemic, and lackluster. A far cry from the diversity and real democracy represented in New York and their newly elected mayor. What's even more comical is that WFAA spent airtime demanding the return of a stolen ornament, but didn't spare a single second to hold Mayor Parker accountable for her defamation and blatant lies. Her attempt to play victim instead of leader. The imbalance in priorities speaks loud and clear. And Fort Worth's disregard for truthful journalism is nothing new. Laying off Bradford Davis, the only Black opinion columnist at Star Telegram, after writing two of the strongest pieces that newsroom has produced in years, wasn't an accident. It was a message. Don't challenge the people of power, especially not make it up, Maddie.
And I'm here because public comments are not a privilege, they are a right. And before 2022, residents could speak at every regular council meeting. And today we're down to fewer than twice a month. And now meetings are quietly shifted to hours when working families can't even attend. Fort Worth is one of the fastest growing cities in America. We're a city of a million people. Yet when opportunities to speak at our own government are shrinking, that's backwards. Because transparency should grow as the city grows. Chris Tackett had recommended restoring public comments to every meeting because democracy works best when people are heard, not controlled, not filtered, not scheduled around photo ops. So we demand public comments at every meeting in 2026, not 10 times a year, every single meeting. So let the record show that the people of Fort Worth are done being silenced. Thank you.
I'd like to start off by thanking council members Beck, Hall, Nettles, and Peoples for those who voted against reducing public comment. Because when power is taken away from the people will respond in kind. And I'm sure you've probably noticed that there is organizations that are developing all around Fort Worth. Like, for example, the People's Commissioners Court, because of the obfuscation that's purposely done by the city to try and make it hard to be able to talk, to make it hard and to be able to have any kind of agenda. And it's personally insulting to me when I'm speaking out for my community and I'm a performer. But whenever you have people with power, money, behind closed door meetings, they're just called donors. This is not for a photo op. So, of course, Mr. Charlie Lauersdorf is not here. So he said there's no solutions. The solutions that you have: fund your schools, feed the children in these schools, pay your teachers, pay your TAs, pay your specialists, fund the arts if you want children out of the streets, not engaged in gang violence. We already know that education, places for them to actually belong, is what keeps them from going from the school to prison pipeline. Thank you.
In 2017, community members advocated for Fort Worth to join a lawsuit challenging the Show Me Your Papers law for violating civil rights. During that time, I met with Maddie Parker. As chief of staff for Betsy Price, you were dispatched to defuse us. At that meeting, you theorized we were really upset about what was happening with politics at the national level, and we were just taking it out on the local elected officials because that's who we had access to, even though every other large city in the state had already voted to join the legal action, which clearly vindicated the legitimacy of our proposal. I heard this same talking point by you on a recent podcast that the state of polarization lies with the national parties, but you all are the ones getting pummeled due to proximity. You also mentioned reading a book called Performative Outrage. It lets you rationalize that anyone outside of the West Side Gang is an ignorant, wrong-headed radical just seeking fame. I'm here to set the record straight. Those of us advocating for accountability are not here to take out our anger from the federal level on you. We're not here to score a viral video or build a political following. We are here because we care, because government has the most direct impact on our daily lives at the local level, and because many of you are bought and bossed. This is not performance, it's participation. So here is the book that you really need to read. I brought you your own personal copy, White Fragility. It's the roadmap to reduce the rhetoric if that's really what you're seeking to do. And
Mayor Parker, you always present yourself as a moderate, believing that standing in the middle makes you fair. However, your actions minimize the struggles of marginalized communities and dismiss those who confront injustice. This mirrors the history of moderates who urged patience while others suffered. In 1963, 8 white Alabama clergymen criticized civil rights demonstrations, claiming they were unwise and untimely. They prioritized civility over justice, urging people to wait as injustice continued. Dr. King identified them as the greater obstacle than outright oppressors, valuing silence over progress. You claim to focus on city operations, yet you spend significant time on image control. If you truly believe 80% of this city supports you, why cut public speaking and orchestrate a thank you parade with nonprofit leaders and local organizations? Reality is only 2.6% of the city of a million voted for you. You mirror those clergymen, unconcerned and lacking urgency. The white moderate was the problem then, and you are the problem now. Wait is a message of white privilege, sounding reasonable and untimely, meaning never. You want to convince people that your brand of moderation is the best they can do, but it is not. Our city deserves more than managed stagnation.